Hey, how you doing? I'm Adam Post, publisher of College of the Dead, publisher of more than 1,000 independent comic books. And I can't believe it, but I am telling you about a report from Diamond, and this is Diamond's own president stating this, that Diamond will not be able to pay comic book publishers this week. That is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Diamond is like the bank of the comic book industry for comic book stores. For anyone who's using comic book stores for distribution anyway, I'm not. But that is kind of amazing. You know, I did business with Diamond all the way back in 1990. And Diamond Comic Distributors always paid their bills. They even paid them early if you wanted to give them a couple of extra percentage points off. They would pay you early. They always had the cash. The money was always there. And now the money is not there. This is hard to believe. So first of all, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. I do all sorts of things related to comics and pop culture on this channel. So this is from Bleeding Cool, and they're talking about how over the weekend, supposedly Marvel had agreed to extend terms to Diamond Comic Distributors, meaning they would extend payment terms and say, hey, you didn't have to pay us right away for money that you already owed us for comics that were already delivered. So that would give Diamond a little bit of extra time to cover their expenses and to collect cash and pay them. Diamond, last week announced that they would put their accounts on hold with retailers. What that meant was retailers would not have to accept product. And if retailers accept product, they usually owe Diamond money immediately. Sometimes they give them a little time to pay. Depends on the retailer. Depends on the history they have with paying bills. But when Diamond told shops that they wouldn't have to pay to accept new products, they could put their account on hold and not accept new products, even though they were pre-ordered, that was a red flag for me. And the other red flag, which is the biggest red flag of everything to me, was when Diamond said they will not be accepting books for April 1st delivery from publishers or any suppliers, meaning any orders that were placed by Diamond on behalf of stores were effectively on hold or canceled, because all these are for comics and books and toys and everything on a very tight schedule, where this stuff, the process of making this stuff was months ago. You know, this is just like even stuff in transit. They must be turning away trucks as certain trucks come in because you use like different trucking companies that deliver your books and things to Diamond to redistribute them. This is really shocking. That was really shocking. That was when I knew, like, hey, this is a big deal, because essentially it's Diamond not honoring their commitments, which they've never not honored their commitment. Not that I've ever seen. They've always been able to keep their promise. They figured out a way to make it work. And I've read where Steve Jeppy, the owner of Diamond, has talked about how he and Bill Sheamus had to juggle things around and make things work. Bill Sheamus was VP of purchasing for a long time, and he's since retired from Diamond. But, you would never know it as someone who was doing business with them. They would always pay you what you were supposed to get and when you were supposed to get it. And like I said, sometimes even early if you gave them a discount. They also used to help publishers finance their printing bills. So if you work with a new printer for a small fee, they would pay a printer directly for books that they were going to receive in case the printing bill was more expensive than the publisher was able to handle. And when I was a small publishing company, whatever it was, 20 years ago with these guys, they helped us a number of times too with that. They took care of us. So it's pretty amazing. And so what this means, so that people understand too, this is not just Diamond saying, look, we can't pay comic book publishers this week. This would include, I'm sure, all their vendors. This would mean it's not just that they're not paying them for books this week because they're not receiving the books this week. That's the first thing that I found really shocking. It's that for stuff that was delivered like a month ago to Diamond, where the publisher might even be just breaking even or even losing a little money when Diamond pays that bill, and then the publisher is like, okay, I got to cover all my expenses now. Diamond is not paying that bill. So it's equivalent to, let's say you're working at a job and you get paid once a month, and you're getting paid this month on the 31st of March, happens to be today, for work that you did all the month of February. You did the work. You know you were going to get paid. It was just going to take a month to get paid. Well, this would be like not getting paid for work that you did last month. Never happened with Diamond before. Never happened. Not once. Happened with Capital City Distributors before they went out of business, another comic book distributor in the 1990s, but it never happened with Diamond Comic Distributors. This is the letter that they sent out. Dear Diamond Vendor, as the world responds to the outbreak of COVID-19, our focus is on protecting employees, understanding the risks of our businesses, evaluating the risks to our industry, and examining the federal government resources available. While the full impact of this epidemic is still unknown, one thing is certain: supply chain disruptions have cash flow implications across the extended industry that can't be underestimated. They're devastating. The supply chain interruption is devastating. It's extremely common business practice when you're putting out work on a monthly basis, like the comic book publishers are, and then they're getting paid by Diamond. Then they're using that money that they get from Diamond to then go pay artists, and then to go pay printers, and pay rent, and pay other bills and living expenses, all based around the cycle continuing. And there's a timing issue as well. As I said, from last month, it could be last month's work that you're getting paid for now. It's very common in business. Everything is not always cash on delivery. You pay immediately on delivery or paid prepaid. It works. The process works better when there's a trust between everyone after a business relationship and business credibility is established, so that everybody can kind of help each other a little bit on the payment terms, let each other pay a little bit later. That guy might pay a little earlier, but it all averages out in the end. It keeps business flowing. But then when there's a disruption like this, unless a company has significant extra cash, there's going to be problems. So you have major independents like a company like Valiant. Valiant is not a joke company. Valiant's got millions of dollars behind them. They produce movies through their DMG Entertainment, financed by a Chinese investment bank or something like that. So anyone who's a Valiant freelancer, they may have heard pencils down or whatever, but those pencils being put down, at least the work that whatever you did for a big company like Valiant, a major independent like Valiant, you're going to get paid for. What I worry about is companies that are, say, smaller than Valiant. I don't know what's going on with, I know IDW has had tremendous financial losses. I don't know what's going on with IDW. I don't know what's going on with Boom. Valiant Plus, Valiant and above, Dark Horse as well. They're funded by also a Chinese investment company of some kind. They're going to be able to pay everybody. Of course, Marvel and DC are able to pay everybody. But when they say pencils down, you got to put them down. If you happen to be a freelancer working for a company smaller than Valiant and they haven't told you pencils down yet, put your freaking pencil down and go get a job, because honestly, you're very unlikely to get paid. It's just very unlikely. Even if they haven't told you, well, listen, we're having these problems with Diamond yet, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to get paid. I mean, I don't mean to disparage anybody. It's just, listen, this is the real world, and it's not going to help to be working delusionally for another month before it turns out that the phone doesn't pick up anymore, and the company is ruined. There may be some people, especially in comics, that are not dealing with reality yet. But when Diamond says, "Oh, I can't pay you for stuff you already delivered that was due," this is stuff that would have been due like 30 days ago that was delivered. Net 30 is a normal trade practice. They could have different terms with Marvel or any number of other companies, but that means it's literally like 4 weeks worth of revenues that they might be backed up on. 4 weeks worth of lost revenues matching to 4 weeks worth of expenses, which could be easily in excess of $100 million. That's now like, oops, it's missing. And there's going to be so much. There's going to be so much lost money. Yeah, it's a rough thing. As the rest of this letter says, while we work to understand the current industry landscape. I mean, of all people, you'd think they would know the industry landscape. If Diamond doesn't know it, that's a problem. That's why I'm saying, if you're not working for a major company, but they haven't told you pencils down yet, and I don't want to name a company because it'd be inappropriate, but some Joe Blow independent small company, but kind of people know their name or whatever, stop working for that company. Go do something else, or just assume that when you're working for that company, you're not going to get paid. I really don't mean to disparage any other fellow publishers. I'm just saying, ask them what their financial situation is directly, because it's changed materially. It's not the same that it was prior to when this event happened. Their finances have changed. So you're giving credit if you're doing work in advance of that. So it's completely appropriate to ask a publisher, well, how does this affect what you're doing? I'm hiring somebody now to do new work on my College of the Dead sequel. So excited about that. College of the Dead graduation day is already done, but College of the Dead book 3, which is going to be College of the Dead Spring Break. And it was just a few days that we had correspondence, and the contributor contacted me and he said, hey, Adam, are we still moving ahead on plans? I know things have been changing, and, very understanding. And I said, yeah, absolutely. I'm crowdfunding. This has nothing to do with me. I've sold not one comic book to a comic book store in years. And maybe that changes in the future. Who knows? But it doesn't affect me currently. But I wasn't insulted by the freelance talent asking me that. I understood, you need to know what the heck is going on. Because even though it's just freelance work and it's just a piece of work, it's, not somebody's whole living necessarily, they need the money. And if they're going to do the work, they got to get the money. So that's why I'm discussing the implications of this stuff a little bit. I don't know that everybody completely understands it, but Diamond not paying for work and comic books and inventory that they accepted. This isn't 8 figures. This is more than $10 million worth of stuff. Okay, it's not thievery. It's not a Ponzi scheme. This is normal business practice that business use credit as working capital. That's fine. But this is a huge, huge, huge thing happening. And Diamond also, they have resources. They have incredible credit. I know that because of back in the day when we were doing the financial assignments with my printing, and Diamond was helping to finance some of our printing because the printing bills got high, and we were working with a new printer, and the printer was like, oh, we apologize. We checked your credit. Like, the Diamond's credit is amazing. Going on and on and on. Plus, I know they were never late paying me, and I've never heard of them pay late. But now everyone's going to hear of them paying late. But, this is business. Things happen in business sometimes, I guess. Oh, my God. So they say, thank you for your patience and understanding during these difficult times. And now this is smart-ass jerk-off Richard Johnson, and I'm being polite about that, saying maybe it's worth making a call to Penguin Random House after all, implying that maybe Penguin Random House would buy Diamond. No company is going to buy a company where there's a completely uncertain future, and he's an idiot. They're certainly not going to pay for old inventory that was delivered that Diamond wouldn't have been able to collect from retailers on or something like that. You're talking about a missing, I don't know all the numbers, but it's somewhere between $50 and $150 million is missing now because of this. That's 1 month's worth of revenue probably that passes through Diamond, and it may even be on the low side. So no, Penguin Random House is not going to acquire Diamond. The issue with Penguin Random House is interesting also. Bill Sheamus made a comment on Facebook that Bleeding Cool did an article about. Let me pull it up here. The reason Penguin Random House is in slightly better shape than Diamond at the moment is because their retailers, for the most part, are open and they're in business. Bill Sheamus was vice president of Diamond Comic Distribution for years and years. He helped build Diamond into the monster success that it was, maybe also into the slightly dominating monster that sometimes it can appear to be. And I've dealt with him for my publishing days, and he's always look, he's a tough businessman, but very sharp, and I found it to be very fair. And he's helped me out from time to time over the years when he didn't have to, and I found him to be a good person. But he wrote on Facebook, essentially that what Diamond Comic Distributors and Diamond Book Distributors is doing about temporary holding all shipments of products to comic stores and to books is completely correct. And Bill's take on it is, well, if you don't halt all shipments, like Ingram isn't halting shipments, Penguin isn't halting shipments, if you don't hold all shipments, then you're putting at risk the employees who are handling all those books, moving around all those books, distributing all those books physically to retail locations, and also their families, because there are going to be people who, of course, because of just the nature of things being out in the world, wind up with some kind of infection and bring it home to their families. Now, Diamond really didn't have much of a choice in what they did, because it's not like it was Diamond's decision to shut down multiple states and multiple businesses. Diamond had no control over that. Diamond also has mail order retail customers that do significant volume, like mycomicshop.com, Mile High Comics, and there are a couple of others that have actually very significant direct-to-consumer mail order businesses. Diamond could have kept servicing those to some extent as well, but it really was the sensible thing to do to temporarily shut down. What could they do? There's not a lot that the Diamond could do about it. So no, we don't need help, Richard, from Penguin Random House to acquire Diamond, and then they'd be able to distribute the comics. It doesn't really work that way, and particularly because Diamond's retailers, none of them are considered essential businesses like anywhere on earth. So none of those are going to be open. So what's another distributor going to do anyway? So a couple of those stores are open in some places, but also the publishers are kind of juggling around what they're doing. Marvel is pulling all digital comics as well as print comics now. So now Marvel is not distributing any of their comics. DC was only going to have some select print digital comics available, but now DC is going to have all digital comics available tomorrow. I don't know what I would do if I was in their situation. I'm really happy to say I am not in their situation. I wouldn't mind having sold some comic books to comic book stores. That would have been fine. But I'm glad I'm not dependent on it. And I'm glad that I wasn't going to try and pay my bills this month with books that I delivered last month to the direct market. So for right now, that's the status. Diamond is not able to pay publishers. It's freaking amazing. I assume something will change, but I don't know. This may very well mean, until Diamond gets new money in from stores, that they don't have revenue to pay publishers with. So how are publishers supposed to sell comics through Diamond in the future? Marvel, DC, again, Valiant, Dark Horse, these are multi-billion-dollar companies. Like it or not, they have either the backing of a billion-dollar company or a Chinese investment fund between those four. The other guys, I don't know what they're going to do, and they'll have to figure that out. If I could help, I certainly would. And I actually did tell Steve Jeppy, if he wants my 2 cents, he's got it. We do know each other. Anyway, that's why I'm focused on College of the Dead and selling books direct to consumer through crowdfunding. This is my crowdfunding campaign. The first campaign only did $5,300 in the first 60 days. This one is doing almost $14,000, and the campaign isn't over yet. Within less than 30 days, it took me 8.5 months to do $10,600 direct to consumer on the first book. This is the sequel, and we're not even in 30 full days on this yet, and it's doing more than it did in 8 months. So direct to consumer is where it's at. Comicsgate is where it's at. Be sure you subscribe to this channel. Click the bell for notifications. Leave any comments below. I'd love to see what your guys' points are and your ideas are. And I will see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.